And good afternoon, everybody. Sunday, the 25th of October. I wish you every blessing for the Sunday. I've just made a couple of attempts at recording this and it's gone on and on and on. So apologies to everybody this morning. I must have preached for a very long time. So I'm watching the clock now, trying to cut down what I have to say. Jesus in the Gospel is questioned, what's the greatest commandment? And he says, love. We don't normally connect those things, do we? Law and commandments and love. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength. That's the greatest command. And the second resembles it. Love your neighbour as yourself. But fundamentally, the commandments are about love. If you take the 10 commandments, the first 3 are about right relationship with God, how we love God. Do we set up idols in opposition to God? Do we have attachments which are things in our life which compete with God? And if we do, then we fail in love. The commandment is very much about that duty of love that we have towards God. And do we take the name of the Lord of our God in vain? The name of one we love ought to be respected. On it ought to inculcate feelings of respect and joy and honour and gratitude. How often do we use the name, the Lord's name, or the title of God to express frustration or even anger? And when we do, we fail in love. We fail in the respect that's due to the holy name. Do we keep the Sabbath day? Do we give that time, that consecrated time set aside for the one we love, in order to give thanks and praise for all the gifts that we receive? The Church, of course, gives us a specific way of keeping that time holy, that Sabbath day, by participating in the sacramental mysteries of our Lord's Passion, Death and Resurrection through the Mass. For a Catholic, the Church doesn't make up an obligation to impose on us. The Church points out that we have an obligation to be faithful to what in normal times, I know we're living in COVID times, but in normal times, to be faithful to the mysteries that Jesus leaves us, to receive them with gratitude, to take full use and full part in them. And our Sunday Mass is the epicenter of our Catholic faith, and to neglect that is to fail in our love for God. The 7 commandments that follow are all about our love of neighbour. Honour your father and your mother. Who is my neighbour? Well, my father and my mother are my neighbour, in that sense that, and first and foremost, I owe them honour and respect. They gave me life, they nurtured me, and whatever imperfections they may have had, I owe them everything. And to fail in that honour and respect is to fail in love, the love of neighbour. Thou shalt not kill. Obviously, in the extreme, murder, abortion, the taking of innocent life is a failure to love, a failure to embrace that gift of life, even with all the challenges that it brings. But all the things that feed, of course, that bring one to the callous murderers, or hatred, jealousy, envy, resentment, bitterness, all of those things, they're all a failure to love. The command isn't an arbitrary imposition of God. It comes from the very nature of a right relationship with others. And thou shalt not commit adultery. That sexual side of our nature is orientated towards a covenantal love, this total mutual, reciprocal self-giving based on the distinction of the sexes, the different gifts that we bring to each other as male and female, open to the service of the great mystery of life, that covenantal love, that holiness of life. If we use that sexual gift simply for self-gratification or any form of selfishness, we invert its meaning. Instead of being that holy and profound expression of generous self-giving, which it ought to be within the covenant of marriage and in the service of life, it becomes something selfish. We fail in love when we commit sins against the 6th commandment. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet thy neighbour's goods or thy neighbour's wife. In all these respects, the commandments are pointing out to us ways in which we fail in love. We fail to respect what's due to the other, and so the commandments are very much about love, about right relationship, and are perennially valid. The needs of human nature never change. The demands of right relationship between ourselves and God, and between each other as his creatures, are always the same. The commandments are perennially valid forever. Of course, the gospel and our Lord in the gospel asks us to go beyond the commandments. And when we come through the doors each Sunday to celebrate Mass together, we are immersed in this supreme example of the love to which we're called. We are immersed in the mystery of our Lord's sacrificial death and his generous sacramental self-giving. And it's that we draw strength from that to try to live love of God and love of neighbour in our daily life. We bring that back to the altar with all its imperfections. Every Mass begins, Lord have mercy and I confess. But nonetheless, we're empowered by that mystery of the Mass, by the example and the presence and the grace of our Lord, to go on every day, every hour, every week, week by week, striving to love the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our mind, with all our soul, and to love our neighbour as ourselves.